Hello, Matthew. Lovely to see you.
Hello.
Hello. I didn't
It's
realise
you.
it's me. Am I going to have my face in this because I look like death and I've got no makeup and I'm wearing a terrible shirt?
I
Would you like me to be on?
we I feel like we don't know each other very well, but we know each other well enough to say you look great.
Oh, bless you. Well, my hair's a bit of a mess. Okay, maybe I should.
I couldn't even tell. I mean, have you seen this? Like, come on.
I know, very handsome. Do you have a filter?
Nobody wants to see
Handsome
this.
and filtering? Maybe
Yes, I have a handsoming filter.
I
I
can see
carry it
it.
with me everywhere.
I wish I had one.
I was thinking about this morning, and I think it's been 7 years since we've spoken.
No. COVID
Yeah.
has just kind of shrunk time. It
Yeah.
feels like actually.
It feels like maybe a couple years, maybe,
Yes.
but it was
It's getting
2018.
older as well. Is that just getting older? But I don't even know because we moved house twice, and I'm like, when did I move house? That was like about 2 minutes ago, and it was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And then my daughter's going off to university in September. Like, when did this happen? She was
Yeah,
about
that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, it has been a very strange time. I think it was 2018 when you and I went for that walk around London somewhere.
Yes. Who was it then?
But
Who was it?
I know there was a conference I was there. I think it was there for UX London.
Oh, maybe, yes, that's one of the main ones. Isn't it? So we must have gone, oh.
Yeah, I met you at
Is
your
that
office.
I've for some reason, a river. I'm remembering a river.
Yeah, we went. Yes, yeah. And I remember we crossed a bridge, but I couldn't tell you where we walked because I was just following you, and you were like, "Well, let's go this way. Let's go this way." And I was like, "Okay."
Yeah, I think we went down from the Barbican maybe, and we went round a river. I got a feeling, I can't even remember. I just remember hanging out with you, but everything else
Yeah,
turned into a blur. It's
yeah.
so sad.
I went to see somebody. I think it was at Moo, because I remember I was in the Moo offices.
Oh God, did you? I think you came to see me at Moose, so that would have been 2016.
That was 2016.
Let me just double check my LinkedIn. This is really funny,
my
isn't it? I
God.
can't even remember when I was doing what. I suppose I left 2018 at Moo. So I started
did?
2016.
Okay.
So yeah, it was Trinity Laban, and I was still in
Yeah,
Moo,
okay.
and you came to visit. Right, we've got
Yeah.
that nailed on now.
All right. Well, it was good talking to you. See you later.
So what are you up
Yeah.
to, Matthew?
What? Oh, I mean, it's just so many things. No, it's not. What am I up to? It's sort of I'm at a weird, I don't even know how to answer this. The answer is I'm unemployed and have been for 17 months. I think it's either I'm just so depressed I don't know, or I'm found some level of comfort with it, which I think is probably the more accurate.
Yeah.
It is, I was telling somebody before that the difference now from, even 5 or 6 years ago is I'm competing with people who actually know what they're doing.
Don't say that. You always knew what you were doing.
Well, no, I meant like before, if I was looking for work, I was often the most experienced person.
I see what you mean.
And because of all the layoffs, now it's like
competition
the pool is a lot of experienced people. So it's, and the age thing, and it's just a very weird time. So I'm been looking for other ways to like help, and it's mostly volunteer stuff, but it's at least, keeping my brain working.
That's great. Yeah.
And working on books and working on the show stuff, and like I'm not retired at all, but it's kind of like I'm puttering around in retirement.
God, I'm so sorry.
And then you're going full bore where you're at.
The team are great, and it's a really interesting challenge, and design is kind of what's the word I'm looking for? We're seen as a partner, not as an execution, which is really, really good. And You know, I'm there at sort of not quite at the top table, but the second top table, and my boss is great, and the team is great. It's just that like the pace of work is so much. It's even more than any startups I've been in. There's just so much on, but hopefully, I think, you know, we've got we acquired a couple of companies, maybe combining them, and you know, I think all of this. So I think maybe after this year, that way, like 18 months, maybe it'll calm down.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just I think it's the nature of startups, isn't it? You're just constantly like, you know, building and building and building and looking for that PMF, and you know, and looking to win. And but then it's startups that realize that they need design because they see, you know, they understand that they have to win on experience, they have to win on innovation, they have to win on like making things super, super like frictionless. Whereas big corporations that were stable seem to have divested from design. I know that BT cut right back on their team. I don't know if you've spoken to Connor.
No.
You know, like lots of bigger companies are definitely cutting back.
Yeah, it's interesting. It is the really big companies, but strangely, I think it's like the smaller and the mid-size companies. Like I was talking with somebody recently, and their company is, I don't know, maybe 5,000-ish people, which I consider mid-size.
Yeah.
And they have I can't remember which C level like acronym it is, but it's probably COO or CIO or something like that. But someone who has seen in past positions and this position that they're in right now, the positive impact that research can have
on
an organization. And they had some layoffs, you know, earlier this year. And one of the areas that they're investing in and trying to hire more for is research, because they understand how it's actually helping the company. And that surprised me to hear. I was also surprised to hear, and I'm blanking at the moment who told me this, but that it was someone who was working on a project who it was being treated as an experiment, and they were going to move some of the call center people over to the new system to have them work on it. And after, you know, 6 weeks or so, they were going to move them back to the old system, shut everything down, and deconstruct what happened.
Oh.
So they're not committing to delivering this product. They're committed to experimenting and understanding what's working and what isn't, and then rolling that into the next iteration. And that surprised me. And so there are these little bits of things that I see happening.
Little green shoots, yes.
Yeah. And it's wonderful to hear. What I wish had been happening all over the place this whole time. But I think it's that in order to be competitive, we actually have to know what we're doing, and we have to understand the extent to which we're delivering on our promises to our customers.
And whoever losing them, and yes.
Yeah. So it's a rough job landscape, but there's stuff happening that has me pretty encouraged.
Oh, that's good. That's good. And America's always so far ahead of the UK, so it's great to hear that that's happening in America. It'll hopefully come here soon.
Well, you'll make it happen. You'll say, hey, stop with the acquisitions. We need to fix this stuff first.
Never going to happen.
Yeah. So what is some of that you can talk about? What are some of the things that are on your plate that are
upskilling the team? I think definitely there was very sort of patchy, and then trying to bring like 3 or 4 different companies into one united team that's remote. That's obviously interesting. Trying to upskill, like, level the design quality and the craft. Try to be faster, leaner. I think a lot of people get quite like lots of nervousness about the team for making decisions. So just spending a lot of time in analysis that we just need to do some things. So yeah, I think it's kind of classic things of a design team that's patchy maturity. You know, there's some great people, there's some people that's less mature, maybe didn't have this, you know, the sort of structures and processes in place. So we've been working on that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. What is and I asked this having experienced it, and it wasn't that great. Absorbing other companies into your own, like, how's that going? I guess.
It's actually going really well, I think. It's going really well. I think because I wasn't from any company, I was Switzerland. So I was able to, just try and bring the best of each of the different companies together, and then make sure that every team had like a mixture of people from each of the companies, so that we didn't have like a balkanization.
Yeah. I was at a place that had acquired a company, and they didn't do much to integrate everybody before I arrived, and while I was there, it was pretty much, that the team that was from that other company worked on that other company's stuff, even though it was supposed to be integrated, and it just led to over time, a lot of hurt feelings, I think, and feeling left out, and it was really rough for morale for everybody, really.
I bet, yeah.
So I'm glad it's going well for you.
Thank you. Yeah, it has been, I think.
And teach us how to do it.
Well, the company invested a huge amount in this big, amazing offsite in Berlin, and flew everybody from all over the world. So we were all in one place and talked about the product vision and the roadmap and how we were coming together. And it was it was great. I think it really helped off, paid off, because people got to spend time face to face and got to know each other, and people felt really invested in. So it was it was really good. Exhausting, but really good. I had to stand up in front of the whole or team, and we had this kind of amusing we were doing the talks in this sort of amusing way. I was talking about making things simple, easy to use, and I had a machete. I was pretending to cut through all the nonsense and everything. But it landed really well, rather than just sort of standard talks. And I think that was a real moment that the morale started getting really good after that.
So I think here's my pitch to you for your next book. Think of a great design-related acronym for machete. Yeah.
Mass abbreviation system. Yes, maybe I should. Or yes, definitely.
Yeah, it's got to be better than lean or agile or all that stuff. I mean, that stuff is so over. Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good. It's I think one of the things that has taken my attention over the past few years a lot is, it's sort of how I put it is a company will say, hey, this form isn't converting or whatever, some small thing that has their attention, right? And almost always upon an investigation, sure, move this field up or make this copy a little bit more clear. But the real problem is how the work is getting done and how you're organized.
That always is. I love John. Yeah. He always talks about that. I don't know if you know John Cutler, but he's fantastic, and he often talks.
I know of.
Yeah. He's great. Maybe you should get him on.
But I'm gonna keep poking at the process and the team stuff and ask you what are some of the things that you're doing right now to, I guess, not just alignment within it's partly the upskilling, but alignment within the design group, but also how that alignment works within the organization itself. You said design is seen as a full partner.
Yes.
Is that before you arrived, or that's something that you've been working on? I know it is something that needs to be worked on, but
I think it was the reason I was hired. I was very, very lucky to get the job. I think they'd made that decision. Product analytics and experience analytics can be super hard to use and understand, and I think they realized they needed to make it much more sort of simple and clear, and also maybe get close to user needs to sort of really understand how to innovate. We have a really good research team, but I think my boss Lucy had realised that by bringing designers at a more senior level into the mix, it was going to make all of these things a lot easier. So hopefully it has, and that's been great, because it means that it allows me to sort of look across the entire platform and have a point of view and try to make things more integrated. We've got we're sort of combining lots of different parts of the product. So there's a huge amount on right now. So it'll be simpler soon. I think that's been a really good help to the process. I think we have trios, so product design and tech, and they work really, really closely together. They sort of look at the roadmap. They're really strong partners, and that's great. So again, design's been elevated to sort of support and be a peer. We have OKRs, of course. We do sort of product reviews. We do 6-week reviews. We do kind of forward-looking and backward-looking. So that's all across the organisation. And then we have sort of 2 big calendar moments. Because it's B2B SaaS, we do big launches. So those big launches are sort of things in the calendar that we all come around and we know what the story is and what we're doing. And our CEO, who's an amazing salesman, gets up and talks about like what it is we're doing and why, and like why we're doing AI and analytics. And I've done the last 2, which is super stressful. But it's really amazing that it's like design is on the stage talking about, look, this is what we built for you, this is what we've designed for you, and be able to describe it. So there's some of the things I think that when we're able to have that impact, and just I think having somebody with that vision across everything makes things a lot easier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and machetes.
And machetes, of course.
And machetes. Yes. Yeah. Huh. Yeah, that's as I was saying, like it's one of the things that I think can often be the part or the path with the most resistance is getting an organization to, like, I know you mentioned it's go, 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 but at the same time, creating space and time to do the right work well, I think it's so important. And the idea that where you're at right now is allowing for that.
Yes.
Like it's really positive.
It really is. And I think it's also on designers to understand the business strategy and our competitors and where we sit in the market, so that we know that this thing here is something that's worth spending a lot of time polishing, investigating, analysing, because it's something that, is we might compete on, or it's a differentiator, it's really important to our customers. Whereas this thing here, it's kind of just good enough. And I think knowing the difference between where you have to really invest the time and where things can just be okay is really important. I think it's a real skill that I've learned over the years of being able to, I did an MBA as well, so that I could understand all of this, so I could kind of synthesize it to say to people that this is a big thing that we need to focus on. So we do spend time to discover, but the right things, I think. Also because we have a focus on like who our customer segment is and what kind of companies we're going after. And B2B's always got that complexity. You've got the user and the person that buys, and trying to understand that landscape as well, and thinking about, once you're in an organization, how do you kind of permeate through? So there's almost like these second order effects. How do you design something so that it becomes shareable, which might not be an actual user need, but it makes their life better. And it also helps us become a bit more viral too. So there's, I think, understanding the strategy makes you a better designer, and it helps you know where, like, to ask for the time or to create the time to do these particular things well.
Yeah. Several years ago, I mean, this conversation comes up over and over again, but should designers learn to code? And I think it's fine if a designer wants to learn to code, but I've always been on the side of like, I think designers should learn to business.
Yes.
And I feel like it's more important. I feel like it's more important to than learning to code. Obviously, you have to understand the material with you're working in. But yeah, it's just really understanding like how to prioritize, because I feel like, to your point, it's, I've been that designer very early in my career where everything is important and everything has to be perfect.
Yes, that just a recipe for burnout. And
thank goodness I don't do that anymore. Yeah. And it's like, the last internal position I came into, when I was doing the introductions and going around and talking to everybody, I purposely asked the question, so what are you working on right now that you could let burn and it would be fine? And it turns out there were a fair number of things that multiple people were working on that just everyone knew it wasn't high priority, but somebody up was saying, hey, this is super important. So it's like, okay, well, let's go have that conversation about how important it really is relative to everything else that's going on.
Yeah.
And
probably two things to say to that. The first one, I think it depends what kind of designer you are, because I mean, design system designers and people who might want to code prototypes, although now we have like Lovable, design engineers really need to understand the code. I think you should also just kind of understand how things have been built and how it's assembled and how to talk to engineers. In the same way as that's why be able to talk to business, you can talk about why you're doing something and make a case for the user through the lens of this is going to move the needle. So I think it's all important. And you know, and now we're seeing product managers doing bits of design and engineering doing bits of research, and I think it's all kind of collapsing. And then the second thing I was going to say is, you know, you talk about kind of wartime and peacetime experience or businesses or situations. So, you know, I think when we had all the ZIRP and mega growth, like when I was at Babylon, that was definitely peacetime, and we could do multiple things and see if it fit, you know, which one worked. And we could, my team was massive by the end, you know, because we just kept hiring people to try more things. But I think now it's definitely more of wartime, so you have to focus. And that's really interesting too. I mean, I think it really means you don't have these pockets of people wondering, why are we doing this? We have to really think very clearly about our strategy and about accelerating, and is this the right thing to do versus this? And it's really interesting being part of these conversations as a design executive, you know, like trying to understand why we should do X instead of Y. How will it help us win in the market? What does this mean then for the experience? And it's really great stitching it all together. So to sum up, I think, designers should know how to code, you know, to an extent. But definitely as you get more senior, you have to understand the business more. And I think even as a junior designer, you need to understand why calls are being taken, and even like, is it really worth spending 6 months polishing a button or not? Or, you know, some things should have to be a bit scrappy, and that's okay.
Yeah, you're right, of course. My bias is toward the business side, less toward the coding side. But it's all important, of course.
Cool. And it's definitely changing with, you know, with the advent of AI now, because we can have like kind of prompt engineering. We've got tools like Lovable, Cursor. We can build prototypes. So there's so much that we can do as designers to take a bit of the weight off engineers, to actually get tangible things built, and to think a bit more in interactions. That's one of the amazing things about Lovable, because if you're designing in Figma, it's flat. But Lovable, and as soon as you start prototyping, it makes you start thinking about how people are going to interact with the products. So that's really useful. And so I think, you know, you shouldn't learn, if you're going to spend your time doing anything, you shouldn't learn about code too much unless you want to start like building some stuff too. But you can do vibe coding. You know, the whole landscape's completely changed. But I think it's really, really important for everybody now to understand how AI can accelerate their workflow, not replace them, but become like a colleague that makes you faster and your work better.
Yeah. Well, how do you feel? You talked about product managers doing design. How do you feel about that?
I'm completely fine, I think. I think it all depends on the place. Like, I know a friend of mine is working in a startup, a really, really small startup, and she has a simple design system, and she's doing lots of stuff like prototyping things, doing things, and they have one very stretched designer who also does brand, who adds a layer of polish, and that's completely fine. You know, that startup will probably be, you know, get through these painful early years by her flexing what she's doing and by people wearing multiple hats. And then I think even all the way up to like product managers could potentially prototype something, like so PRDs. They could say, oh, this is the kind of thing I'm thinking about. Like the bigger the org, maybe the more defined the roles are, because the designers have to understand the whole user journey. Right. Product managers have to understand, you know, all of the business. So I think I've always thought the roles should overlap. It's just overlapping slightly maybe on some of the execution, but that doesn't mean that product is responsible for the design. They just do some of it. So I think it depends on the maturity, the size, the scale of the organization. And I've seen lots of design people move into product. So that I think could be a really interesting example where you've got a product manager who's ex-design who can do both. And I think product designers often make great product managers too.
I agree.
Yeah, so you know, that's a great hire for a smaller company. Get an ex-designer product manager, and you've kind of got both hats. But yeah, I think it's in somewhere like us, it wouldn't work because our product managers have lots of responsibility around, things like market sizing, or not market sizing per se, but understanding how their work could impact. And they have lots of business responsibility. They've got to work with the engineers to understand how we're going to do something. And while I think it's great that they would do some prototyping, I really encourage it. I don't think they have the time or the bandwidth or the ability to do the full end-to-end design, but that's why it's a partnership.
Yeah. Is it, they also have, are they product managers and have product marketing manager?
We have them too.
Responsibilities, or are they?
Okay. Yeah, we have an amazing product marketing team run by a completely mad Australian that I love called Dave, and they're really good. They're like storytellers. He's a great storyteller, so it's really interesting. They sort of take what we're building and make it a narrative about why people should build this, what it's doing for them. And it's not a discipline I'd worked with massively before, but I think it's great. And I think it's really interesting. How did places I've worked before get by without product marketing managers? So yeah, it's super interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny how I feel like there's a lot of roles that get overlooked in pursuit of running lean, running maybe not so much on how much payroll is, but like project managers and product marketing managers. I think those are often two roles that really are devalued, isn't the right word, but I feel like they bring a lot more to the table than people realize.
I think so. Well, maybe, yeah. Although I think if you work with a good one, you would realize how important they are. But also, even though it's wartime and people are cutting budgets and, trying to run lean, if you don't invest in marketing and you don't invest in innovation and you don't invest about talking to your customers, you're not going to grow. So I think these are actually they're business drivers rather than expenses. And the companies cutting then is a bit short-sighted.
Yeah, again, this is my bias showing, but I think in times like this, the idea of cutting research first or content first it's just so strange. Yeah. I understand the thought process that gets you there, but at the same time, this is a time to let those people go and really explore areas that you've been ignoring, or explore areas that you don't even realize you can't see.
Yeah. We definitely, we have, there's talking of content, there was two things we did. We had a content designer fix some of our usability issues, better help text, better button titles. And it really helped. We got much better kind of usability score, but we didn't need to involve engineers. So content, again, can solve a lot of problems really cheaply.
Yeah.
And then we're also using content design to work with our AI teams. So thinking about the prompts, thinking about the flow. Is it just one big answer? Is it more of a conversation? How does the agent present itself? An I or a we? What's the level of formality? It's been super, super successful. And I don't know of many other companies using content or AI and designing the prompts outside of the actual LLM companies. So that's been really, really interesting. But to go back to your earlier point, I think it's really mad if a company just cuts design. What you should do, or cuts content or cuts engineering. Yeah. What you need to do is look at the portfolio and think, well, this is the thing we're not doing. And so you just cut a team, as sad as that is, but not just randomly cut people. Because that's very poor planning, and then you end up with teams without an engineer, without a designer, and so I think if people are just randomly cutting content, they're very silly.
Yes, I've worked for some of those silly people.
Yes,
and I find them very, very, very silly.
Yes,
your wartime, peacetime metaphor is. I would obviously prefer to be in the peacetime section.
Yeah.
However, I still, having worked in both, I feel like better work gets done with a bit more constraints.
Totally. Yes, I think so.
Yeah. And so bringing, if we could have some balance at some point.
I know some big, big companies, of which I shall not name, have like got they kind of I think got very, very big and baggy design teams that weren't all needed, and then the big companies have gone the other way and got very small design teams which actually are just kind of executing, and that doesn't work. And I know I'm talking to somebody, again, another organisation I shan't name, but they're trying to do a big redesign and replatform at the same time, and they're so blocked. And first question I asked them was like, do you have an empowered design team? And they're like, oh no, the engineer and product are deciding what we're going to do. And I thought that's one of the reasons you're blocked, because how do you decide what to slice up? How do you decide what the experience is? How do you chunk it? How do you think about like journeys through the product? I think you really need design as part of that trio to be efficient.
Yeah. They're all very silly and they should listen to us, is what we're saying.
Of course.
Yeah. I don't know. It's, I think that one of the things that, when did I see this? Oh, it was just this week. I guess this week has just started. I don't even know what time it is anymore. I saw an article about companies having to hire people back to fix the things that their AI solutioning broke. And so I'm wondering the extent to which, given where you're at, like how much you spoke a moment before about using AI as a thinking partner.
Yep.
And, like how much are you corralling the design team versus just go nuts with AI, or like where are you drawing a line for your team of like how much are you relying on this? And
so we've got a really good integration that looks across all of our company documents and information. And, we're a super, super complex product with different release cycles. And that's just made everyone's life so much easier. You just ask it and said, oh, yes, this is the answer. And that's been brilliant. I think in terms of what we're doing in design, it's just proof of concept right now. I've got quite a big ambition. I think there's a lot we can do. There's a lot we can do from sort of automating Figma, like looking to make components, using components to create prototypes, making people work faster so they can get prototypes in front of customers, using AI to like as a thought partner for when we're like synthesizing the information. Although synthesizing the research is really important, it's how you think, but having that as a thought partner as well. But I think there's so much that can be done with either automation or augmentation, and they might allow us to do things that we wouldn't normally do. As I mentioned, like really, really take the time to investigate the interactions, because we don't need engineering to do that, and get them really considered and polished, or do much faster, dirtier research, because often there's that gulf between some maybe paper or some very simple prototype and something that's built. Yeah. There's often that gap in the middle. I know people used to fill it with Axior, but that's quite a steep learning curve. But now the aim is to support the design team to build, combine with our design system, build much richer prototypes much faster that we can throw away, which allow us to get to the better solution quicker. So I think it's, I'm really excited about the potential, and, I'm super excited about trying some of these experiments. We've already just started our first experiment with Lovable, but I've definitely got like a big vision about how we can, simplify and automate some of the work that allows us to do more of the thinking and more of the exploration and increase the quality.
Like what? What's
the prototyping, for example? Things like the prototyping, or things like PRDs. Could we generate a basic prototype from a PRD and then design a product? Now you could get a poke at it and say, what's, this is what we meant or not this. Definitely, there's a huge amount that can be done with design systems. So, already if it's a well-formed design system, you can like change a button, it, kind of cascades everywhere, but using much more automation, much more like you could like self-serve the design system itself. So, quite often there's a governance models who can contribute what. We could simplify a large amount of that. We could simplify a lot of the documentation. So we could take out a lot of heavy lifting of making a new component live. We could make things much simpler, standardized, much quicker. It could be a faster time to build a new component. We could make accessibility. There's some fantastic accessibility plugins. It could become part of the workflow. So there's so much, I think, where we could really accelerate and really increase the quality by taking away some of this, perhaps repetitive work, or some things where maybe there's, disagreement. Because I remember when I was at GDS, we'd always say, show the thing. And it was so true, I'm just doing one thing, you're hearing something completely different. But if we're able to show the thing, we can get to an understanding and we can experiment and build on that much faster. So I think that's really interesting because AI can help us show the thing. And that's maybe what product managers, they could be doing a bit of this is what's in my mind, and then we could be there to discuss. So I think this is actually not a completely new way of working, but a very different way of working. Just at the start of it. So I'm definitely, this is something I want to push to the whole team. How do we automate and simplify and make things practical and real and visual as soon as possible? And that actually allows us, I think, to do more research and more thinking. So I think it's a real plus. Ask me in 6 months or a year, because I'm just starting to think about this. As I said, we've got some POCs and I've got a direction I'd like to go in, but it's this is still very early days for all companies, but it's definitely going to be a big passion of mine about how we can harness AI to empower our designers and to simplify a lot of this kind of handover or heavy lifting or things which, they take our time rather than the thinking and the designing.
Yeah. You mentioned having a team or group, I guess, that is coming to their work with different levels of experience.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering the extent to which you're guiding people through critical thinking about what they're getting back from AI.
I suppose we haven't got there yet because we're probably not doing that much of it. But try and put some guardrails around it. So we are doing some AI prompt built interfaces to allow us to go and do the research. So the research, I think, actually empowers the critical thinking, and it possibly wouldn't have happened at this stage in the project. And if it had, it might have been on, flat screens. So I think it's actually created more critical thinking, more thinking about should this interact? What's this pattern? How do we show the information at what point? What's the steps? Do we show everything at once? How can you query some of this chart? What should be played back to you? What's the information around it? So this forces this real depth and rigor of thinking when you have to start thinking about the prototype. And then it encourages people to think, okay, so where's this data coming from? Can we have this data? What data is useful to present to the customer? Mm-hmm. Is that data that they can actually understand? And so I actually think it's accelerating critical thinking. And then, of course, I think as design leaders, you have to encourage the team to do all sorts of critical thinking from should I spend time doing this, or is this where I need to put the effort to? And I say to everybody, your part of your job is to understand the business and the strategy and the market and think about how we're going to win and how you're going to help us win. So I think AI is just a minor part of that. But I think, critical thinking and everything that help us go faster, do better work, be lean, focusing all our efforts on things that are actually getting great value to the hands of customers and letting them do what they need. So I think anything that supports that I am personally supportive of.
Yeah. Yeah. One of my recent guests has been using it to basically run synthetic focus groups.
Oh, yes. So how is that? I know there's a startup called Synthetic AI. It's quite interesting that, yes, that's something I've been looking at. I'm still uncertain. I think maybe if you've got, you've already done or you have a body of knowledge from your customers. So we have Airtable, we have lots of great customer feedback, we have CSM. So we do have a robust body of knowledge. Would it work to kind of run some synthetic user research on it? I'm not sure. But some synthetic user research is definitely something that we're thinking about even as a business. We can be predictive analytics. If you have two designs, you can potentially do some kind of synthetic research or some, AI prediction to say this one will perform better than this one because from all the designs, because we have a huge amount of data from all the, analysis we've done over the years. So we have this anonymized data, and we could say, well, this, from what we've seen, that this kind of design converts better than this one. And I think that's phenomenally useful. That kind of using real behavior, and then bringing it and then using sort of AI to then predict which, based on this real behavior, which of these two things would people respond to based on how we know the ways that people respond. So synthetic focus group is something a little bit different, and I think like where does that opinions and things come from? You'll probably end up maybe deviating to the norm because you end up just like getting these kind of quite simple opinions when design actually is often looking for the edge cases or the context. So I think AI is super useful for research. I think it's how you employ it and what it's for, what stage in the process, and how you bring the human in. Because it's another thing is like too much AI, things that are too AI generated I think people are starting to even already get a bit fed up of it. I think sometimes things which are like maybe bespoke or handmade, or that there's a human there, or that we're able to innovate because we found human needs that are not apparent. I think this is becoming more and more important. So I don't think AI will replace design. I think it's a blend. Maybe it'll take away some of this quite, the heavy lifting you have to do to allow us to be more creative and more human.
Yeah. It's interesting. Part of the reason I brought that up is because his point was the extent to which critical thinking really needs to come to play when you're relying on a system that might be hallucinating even when it's working with your own data, that you really have to ask, really?
Yeah.
Is that really accurate?
Yes.
But I think also to his point, and I agree, is like, he's not necessarily using it to come up with answers that are going to drive business decisions directly. He's looking at it as, what ways am I not thinking about this?
I see.
That I should be thinking about it.
The way that I'm using it has been super successful. Is like I mentioned, we got this big body of knowledge, we've got huge amounts of data, and then when we do research and we're looking at patterns in the research, when the qual research, and then we say, okay, that's interesting. What else is in our body of knowledge would support or discredit this? And then we use the AI tool to help find examples of this on the previous research, which you could never do. They'd be impossible. Then you're able to go to that bit of previous research and actually read it, and then digest this and bring this all back together. So I think it's been really, really useful for mining information and for summarizing. And for showing correlations or unexpected things that you can then go and validate.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I'm very curious to understand how different teams and companies are using it, and the extent to which they're relying on it, the extent to which they're questioning it, because I think that there's at least in the non-business world, and this is anecdotal, but I feel like what I'm seeing is a lot of over-reliance on the answers that are coming out of it.
Yes.
And that concerns me within a company.
Yeah.
Like having people who know enough to really think, okay, that can't be right, can it?
Yes.
And investigate.
Yeah.
And I think where this kind of dips its toe into design education of, the people who are going to be us in mumble years, however long we've been doing this, how critical are they going to be?
Yeah. Yeah.
And maybe it'll be fine. Maybe I'm just kind of focused on the risks a bit too much.
Well, I think it won't just be designers that need to understand, what's hallucination and how to validate. So, I think it's maybe critical thinking for everybody in school, for example.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, and then,
well, don't come to America then, because we don't we don't got that.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So, who knows? But I'm really, really excited. I think it's not to replace us. It's just to, it's a really exciting new colleague that we have that can help. So come and ask me in 6 months, Because I've definitely got these huge list of proof of concept stuff that I want to work on, which I think is going to really change how we work.
All right,
6 months, yes.
months. Let's put a deadline on that.
Definitely. Well, at least we'll have started.
Jane will have solved everything 6 months.
Well, we'll have started some things, and then I'll have probably more things that I can feed back on.
Yeah. Yeah, at the very least, you'll be like, well, of the 16 things I had in mind, 3 of them, absolutely not. 9 of them, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, that would be good. Yeah, and then I'll have like much more concrete things to tell you. But yeah, so far it's been great. I think, the kind of data mining, they're looking for patterns that we can then validate, prototyping, which just really got us to think, research much earlier, definitely sort of helping us think about interactions and where the data's come from. It's like, it's been very positive so far. So I'm excited to see what else we achieve.
Good. That's awesome. All right. So I forgot to get my little cheat sheet here. Pardon me. Where did my cheat sheet go? I've lost my cheat sheet. Oh, no. Dagnabbit. All right. We're going to wing it. We're going to switch gears.
Okay.
It's time for 7 plus or minus 2 questions.
Okay. I love it.
First question is, what is something you've done recently that went really well?
Oh, I think.
And I'll give you a little guidance around these questions, is that there is no guidance. There's no guardrails. There's personal, professional.
All right. Okay.
Whatever comes to mind is the right answer.
Got you. Okay. Well, I think it's mostly just work, because that's what I'm kind of like, life's just kind of merrily bubbling along and everything's great there. So I think it's been work. And I think definitely the using AI to generate prototypes has been, it's very early, but the indicators are great. I'm really enjoying that. Mm-hmm. And I think, that's the main one I've done recently. Very happy that I joined Content Squared. That's gone really well.
Awesome. Now, I lied, and I'm not going to rely on my memory because my memory sucks. All right, next question. Ready? Mm-hmm. Why can't we have nice things?
Because a big boy broke them.
Yeah, fair. I apologize. Next question. What's the biggest earthquake you've ever been in?
Oh, Chile. Is that, you remembering that? That was in the one in Chile? Or is it not? Okay. I went to Chile for the weekend.
Really?
Yeah, I'm at Madness. I went to Chile for the weekend to talk at a conference. And I landed. I remember coming over the Andes. Like, it was just flat. And then we were told to, buckle in. And the Andes were just like a wall. And the turbulence was incredible. And then I thought, God, that must have been like some kind of like tectonic plate to cause this. And then when I got off the plane, I was looking up, that's an interesting cloud. And I realized it wasn't a cloud, it was the Andes. It was so high. It was unbelievable. So, of course, Chile, right on the tectonic plate, gets lots and lots of earthquakes. And they're really well prepared for it. And they don't really have any high buildings. And everything's like super well structured. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't realize quite how bad the earthquake was. And I can't remember, it was either 5 or 7, but it was really, really big. The whole thing was rocking, and nobody seemed to be that bothered, because they do get them quite regularly. And I tweeted back when everyone was still tweeting, and I was like, oh my God, I've just been in a really, really big earthquake. And I got 2 responses. One was from a designer going, are you okay? And the other one was from a product manager going, size. And I was like, this proves that designers have empathy and product managers care about metrics.
Right. They just want data. Oh, that's great. Well, I hope it was a 5 and not a 7.
I can't even remember now.
If they really are that prepared, maybe a 7, they're fine.
Yeah, the pavement was going, but maybe, who knows? I'll need to go back over my Twitter feed, but I remember people saying, God, that was really big. And I said, yeah, but lots of the buildings are on kind of rollers and things. Mm-hmm. So they're super well prepared. Yeah. It was a great trip. I highly recommend going if you ever get the chance.
Awesome. All right. On the list. It's on the list. Next question. What is the most unconventional way someone has used something that you've created?
Well, I don't think I have an answer to that, really.
Maybe it's a terrible question.
Yeah, well, maybe I'm just really boring.
No,
I don't know.
Think so.
I feel like I'll probably wake up at 2 a.m. going, and I have an answer at the moment. No, maybe apart from maybe trying to bake something and my husband using it as a doorstop. That's only a joke, but that's kind of the quality of my cooking.
That's a good joke. That's a good joke. Yeah, with these questions, I shake them up every, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 episodes. And speaking of cooking, baking, the previous set of questions included what's your favorite go-to dish when you're sharing food with people.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're making doorstops, then
That's it. Yes.
That answers that. All right. Last question. Imagine that it's a year from now, not 6 months, but a year.
Uh-huh.
What do you hope to not be carrying anymore?
Carrying?
Yeah.
Do you mean like emotionally?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't think I even understand the question.
Okay.
Am I being very British? I don't just.
I don't think so. I mean, maybe, but I also feel like my humor is pretty British. So
like carrying.
I guess. I mean, that's why I said like there's no guardrails to these questions, which maybe isn't helpful, but yeah, maybe emotionally, maybe
all right. Well,
psychologically, maybe.
My darling daughter starts university in just over a month, and I hope I'm not going to be missing her desperately, as I suspect I am. I wonder if this time next year she'll be at home. Yeah, so I'll see her first year at uni is gone.
How far away is she going?
2 hours. So you as an American will laugh at me. 2 hours. 2 hours is too far.
No, I mean I'm to the point now. Like it used to be, we would say, "Hey, do you want to go to lunch in Homer?"
Yeah,
which is about a 4.5 hour drive from Anchorage, and we would just drive down for lunch and then drive back.
Wow.
And it was not a big deal at all. But now that I'm this age, I look and I'm like, that place is 5 hours away. That's too far. Yeah. So, okay, that's it. Let's stop talking.